Welcome to The Secret Truth, Special Edition, July 4th, 2015. We want to thank each and every one of you for viewing this special message and also for listening to our program, thesecrettruth.com, the Secret Radio program, the Secret Truth Radio program. This is July 4th, Independence Day. 239 years ago, our founding fathers declared our independence from Great Britain, a very repressive, monopolistic regime that dominated the colonies. They had just gotten through a prohibition of the Continental, which was giving the colonies some economic prosperity and independence, but the British would have none of that, and they closed that down. In addition, they were trying to confiscate arms, and they meant business. They sent armies here to repress the colonists in their rebellion. But brave men led by Thomas Jefferson and George Mason and others declared their independence from this British Commonwealth, Great Britain. And that's what's important. Have our students of history today in our schools, in our junior and middle schools and high schools, lost knowledge of what happened on July 4th? Recent polls have shown, street polls done by a very different pollsters, have shown that they know nothing about July 4th and the Declaration of Independence. Those men at the time were slavers. So what we have to do is we have to look at what they did, and then later on, the Civil Rights Act, led by, of all people, Lyndon Baines Johnson, provided more freedoms for the blacks and the people in this country, the minority blacks. There was a long, drawn-out civil war that cost hundreds of thousands of lives. There were more issues than just slavery involved. There were states' rights. But slavery was a major issue also. Slowly the South would regain its independence from the Union and reestablish state power. Without slavery, thank goodness. And over a number of years, it would evolve into what we have today, a very sophisticated thought slave system. Our young people are under influences they little realize and they little acknowledge and are aware of. Our recent guest last week, and we're replaying it this week because of this July 4th holiday, was David McRaney. He wrote a book entitled You Are Not So Smart. And the premise of the book was basically, we are unaware of how unaware we are. I've recently published a book called Be Good to Yourself, and the premise of that book is similar in tone. And my premise is the delusion hides the delusion. The American public has become deluded, and they've become tricked and mind-washed and mind-controlled and thought, you could say, controlled with the wrong ideas. These ideas are continuously entangling people when they refuse to forgive themselves and others. The gang up at the top, the elitists, rule us through hate and resentment. We must overcome that with love for our fellow man, love thy neighbor as thyself, but foremost of all, we must learn how to forgive ourselves and others. And through that process, we can attain a greater understanding of this world, and especially a greater insight into our own shortcomings and weaknesses. Out of that insight that we can gain strength for not only ourselves, but for our country. And the strength that we gain for our country can once again liberate and free us from tyranny. The tyranny today is money, power, in the form of giant transnational corporations that are dictating in the future and are actually presently creating trade blocs and trade rules and regulations among themselves that leave the nation states out. We're going to be left out. We need to stand up and protest this. But most of all, we need to forgive ourselves and others and to overcome our own deluded state. We want to thank you for listening to us over the almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years, November 1st of this year. And I can't say enough about Charlotte Littlefield Brown. She has been such a wonderful lady and an asset to this program. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish you all a well and a happy and a prosperous July 4th, 2015. Thank you and good night.